Growing up, I moved around a lot. Now, it wasn't by choice, it was for other reasons. Reasons so complex, my mind as a kid just couldn't comprehend. This is the first house I've ever lived in. So many memories lie within these walls, both good and bad. Like the time I got my first dog, or the time I cut myself shaving trying to imitate my dad. We lived here for about 7 years. Then something happened. My parents got a divorce. Thinking back, I always questioned why. Things between my parents seemed great, but as a kid, I didn't know people could change. I remember my mom packing me, my brother, and sister up, and looking out that window as we drove away. It just didn't feel right. We eventually settled inside an apartment. This apartment, to be exact. This is the place where I remember getting my very first friend, aside from my brother and sister. This is the same place where I found myself running around the neighborhood playing cops and robbers, or trading Pokemon cards I would beg my mom to buy for me. But after some time, my mom remarried. Bringing someone new into our lives that wasn't my dad bothered me. It bothered all of us. We eventually moved. Again and again. This time back in the house. I didn't want to leave, but the thought of having a backyard, it excited me. This is the house that we moved into, only I remember a much nicer paint job. I had to make new friends, which I was getting quite used to doing that. This is a field in my neighborhood where we would all play baseball. I remember my friend Austin hitting a home run and shattering a window in this here house. Good times. For me, not for him. A lot was going on in my house around this time. My sister got pregnant at a really young age. 8 months later, my niece was born prematurely. We all thought she wasn't going to make it, but thankfully, she pulled through. My mom quit her job so she could help raise my niece. And we lost our house. And as a result of all the crazy things taking place, we moved. Only much further away than anyone ever expected. We lived in the middle of nowhere, and I hated it. I had no friends, and I didn't fit in at school. I even made the basketball team in hopes I'd make some friends that way. Long story short, it didn't work out. 1 year passed, and despite the beauty of the open land, back to the city we went. We then lived here, but our stay was pretty short-lived. Up we left and moved here. And yet, another year passes, another U-Haul truck. We then moved back into another house, which is now nothing more than this pile of dirt. By this time, I myself moved across the country. 2,077 miles west, to be exact. And there's not much to be said about my stay in California, for it could be turned into another story one day. 9 months later, I found myself back, only in a new place in which I would call home, for now. And all my life, I felt unsettled. I felt disconnected. I felt at any given moment, I'd have to up and move again. But as time changed, I changed. You just learn to accept it. You learn to hold on tight and to never let go. Because you never know where this thing called life can take you next.